Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, I thought I would do kind of like something that could be helpful or useful to anybody who is a creative, a writer, independent author, a business person, any and all of those things above. I don't really think this is on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, but it could be really helpful when sharing your work and getting picked up by like traditional media outlets. And that is a press release slash media release. So if you're interested in learning more about how to write one of those, just keep on watching. Okay, hi, my name is Cassidy Van Gundy. I am an independent author, and I am somebody who has been featured in my hometown's newspaper, the South Bend Tribune, and I've been featured in the same hometown's news station, popular news program before Hometown Living. And as an independent author, that's great. That's a great way for people to see my face, see my name, see my books. If you are somebody who would also like an experience like that, I can give you some tips on how to achieve those things. In the first instance with the newspaper, right around the time that my first book was being published, I decided to come back home and try to put together some media events for the original release of my book, Cursed Fate. The book cover in this instance is going to look a little bit different just because at the time I was published with a small press. We ended up separating and going different ways. But at that time I was with a small press for my first book, Cursed Fate. Ever since then, I've been self-publishing, is publishing independently. But yeah, that's an explanation for why the cover looks slightly different in this case. So anyway, I was organizing media events, and the best way to do that is to literally just email people. I realized once I was home, I think Cursed Fate originally came out in June, and then in July I was back in my hometown, and I had emailed somebody with the zoo at the Potawatomi Zoo to see if I could do some sort of book event with them in collaboration, because within Cursed Fate, one of the main characters of the book is a talking lemur. If you've been to South Bend, if you've seen the zoo, they have a whole island dedicated to just lemurs. So coincidentally, they were already doing some sort of zoo event with different local businesses collaborating and doing face painting and stuff like that. So I got to have my own booth in that scenario. I parked my little butt right by the lemurs and had like a little lemur thing on display and sold my books there, and signed books and stuff. And I posted about it on my own social medias to try to get people to go there, but then also ran into people who were just there to enjoy the zoo, and then that brought interest as well. That is the event that got covered by the newspaper about having a local author at this book signing, but also kind of like a human interest piece of somebody finishing a novel during the pandemic, which was a time of strife for a lot of people. So this was my instance of writing a media release beforehand, because I think they're called media releases before the event and then they're press releases after the event. But I wrote a media release before the event. And again, I will put pictures of what that looks like here that led to the news article being published. I'm also gonna like blot out my old address because that is supposed to go on a media release slash press release, and I don't want y'all to see where I used to live or my phone number. But just know that your personal information is supposed to be up in the corner there. I included what was a headshot of mine at the time, which was literally just a selfie and me editing it in Canva to make it look a little bit more put together, and a picture of the cover. And then if you scroll down, you have like a little bit of a headline. It says for immediate release, and then it says South Bend author publishes her first book, and then the date mentioned right there. And then after that, you kind of have the body of what would be your pitch essentially. I'm sorry if I'm not using the correct terminology. I didn't go to school for journalism, but thankfully my mother did, and she was the one to really showed me how to do this. My mother worked in news in journalism for quite a few years before she had me. She was actually a producer at a TV station, which, not gonna lie, might have helped me get to the opportunities that I got, just because she might have had some sort of legacy or connections at the news studio. But I'll get more into that later. I totally recognize my privilege in having a parent that's savvy with this kind of stuff, but not everybody has that. So that's why I'm sharing this information with you, and I'm paying it forward. Yes. Okay, so then you have the body of this press release, and it states South Bend Adams High School grad invites you to her first book signing event on Thursday, July 15th at Potawatomi Zoo from 5 to 8 p.m. Cursed Fate is the title of Cassidy Van Gundy's first published novel, a young adult fantasy adventure that takes plenty of inspiration from the plants and animals of Madagascar. Van Gundy, recently earning her master's from Boston University, spent this last year in quarantine writing Cursed Fate. You can get your signed copy by stopping by her signing event located next to the Lemur exhibit at Potawatomi Zoo. Why the Lemur exhibit, you ask? Find out the answer by purchasing your own copy of Cursed Fate. The book is also now available for purchase through Amazon and Yukioto Publishers website. So yeah, that was my publisher at the time. And then again, it's got my name. For more information, contact me. And my contact information, again, I'm blurting out certain things, but then at the very end you have end, and then you put the dashes at the end. I think the dashes are a reference to like an outdated piece of media, like when they would send stuff and the dash would be the end of the report. And I don't know if people still do that, but I did that in mine and it worked. So I would so here you go. I sent this to about a bunch of different news stations in South Bend, and then I also sent it to different newspaper outlets. Only one of them got back to me for an interview. So just like applying for a job or just like querying or doing anything else, a lot of it's going to be a kind of tedious sort of process to try to get recognized. So the woman who picked up actually recognized, I think, my name or like my affiliation to my mom. I think they might have known each other. So she interviewed me for a human interest piece. Again, it helps being from the hometown, helps being I went to John Adams High School, which is a high school that's literally right next to the zoo downtown. So it feels like a very coming home type piece. I think our interview was maybe a half an hour to an hour long, and we did that over the phone, and then she printed her piece based on things I've said. I have the copy of the newspaper hanging up in my office right now because I'm really proud of it. I thought it was just going to be a tiny article, but then they really blew my face up on the page, which made me very excited and very happy about. So that's there too. Did this help me get people come to the event? Maybe, I don't know, but it's still a nice thing to have. It's on record. There's a digital record of it as well in print, so that could also help you too if you're trying to build up a portfolio and a resume, and maybe especially too if you want to query for agents sometime soon. This sort of media exposure can be good. It can show that other people are already interested in you. It might be something that will help you in the long run as well. So that was my press release for that. I wrote another one that was supposed to be in about me visiting some of my old haunts. Yeah, I had another instance where I was going home and visiting my old elementary school and some other elementary schools and talking to kids about writing and what a creative career path could look like. I went to 3 different schools, so I wrote a press release for that, but that didn't get picked up at all. And that's okay. It doesn't all the time, you know? It was still a good opportunity to go kind of give back to the community a bit, to visit old teachers of mine and talk to kids about pursuing their passions. Like, it was an awesome opportunity to do that. So I'm very, very thankful for that as well. If you want to see a more professional looking media release or press release, I'll share the one that like my mom gave me as a template to borrow. This is from her old place of employment. My mother used to work for TPC Technologies, and they were like an AV type company for audio and visual tech. So I will just put screenshots of that on the screen right now so that you can kind of see what that looked like. The body of hers was a lot longer, and because they kind of have a rap sheet of like people they've worked with or events they've done, they've also included that in the body to give themselves some legitimacy. But yeah, that's why it was a little bit longer than mine. But like the thing is with like media releases or press releases, they should be brief and they should be to the point. You don't want to like distract people from like what the essence of your messaging is, and that's just bare bones information about an event that's going to take place, or retroactively an event that did take place. I think media releases are good because like if you send a media release prior to the event, there might be a news crew that would come to the event on site and do like live coverage of the event, but that isn't always the case. That's why I sent them out previously. But you could also send them post event if you'd like, and there's a chance that they would still pick up on the story of whatever you want to do, whether that's like a book signing, an art fair, your business getting a certain contract with like a celebrity or something. Anything that you deem newsworthy, I guess, can be pitched out for these places. Also, like, you might be saying, like, how do I send this? I literally just emailed it to people. I went on the contact pages for a lot of different news stations, or I would find maybe some people list their jobs on their like LinkedIn and stuff, or some people have their employees contact on their website. So I was just cold emailing all these people. And as like kind of cringe that that sounds like it resulted in opportunity. So there you go. I also wanted to talk about my on television appearance. That one actually, I was approached by a somebody I know on Facebook, believe it or not. I went to high school with somebody who worked at the news station, and they had been seeing how frequently I've been posting about my books, about my writing, about this, all this other stuff. And so they asked if I would like to be featured on Hometown Living on a slot. And so I quickly said yes. They sent over paperwork for me to fill out to secure my spot essentially. Basically, I think I told them if I needed any additional props or something. I kind of gave my social media profiles for them to display on screen while I was talking, some other background information about myself and my books and my work. The woman who did the interview for me, it was super brief because they had the Hometown Living has the multiple segments during their run period. So it was super brief, but I got all the bare bones information out there, and I got one good audio click, even though I was really really nervous about going up there. And I think you can really tell on my face there's like still like video footage of me getting interviewed here, and I was very nervous. The second opportunity I didn't necessarily put a press release for or a media release for, but because of my network I still was able to do that or schedule that. Basically, creative people want to help other creative people out. It's always good to try to build connections wherever you can, really. And that was a great experience for me. I think that aired around the holiday times in 2023, right when I was releasing my second book, Wicked Breed, which is the sequel to Cursed Fate. And so I did a synopsis on that. So that was another a traditional media outlet that picked up a full-length novel of mine in that time. So yeah, Wicked Breed came out in November of 2023, and it's the sequel to Cursed Fate. So it was kind of like continuing something that had started previously with Cursed Fate, both narrative wise within the books, but also in terms of trying to get the word out there and having traditional outlets back home pick it up. If you live in a bigger city, this might be a little bit more difficult for you to achieve, just because I've noticed that like bigger cities tend to have multiple events going on all the time. But don't count yourself out. Don't try to sell yourself short. Still try to do everything you can to try to put yourself out there, and I promise eventually something will stick. So it's great to still try. So yeah, this video is a little bit shorter than my normal ones, but I hope you found it helpful. Please let me know if you have any follow-up questions in the comments down below, and I'll try my best to answer them. Like I said, I am not a journalism professional, but I'm somebody who's trying this out by herself for the kind of first time in her career, and I'd like to say I have a pretty successful track record. So yeah, I'll let you know if I try to use press releases or media releases in the future for future books. I have a book that I'm planning to publish this upcoming year in 2025 in the spring, so I'll be putting feelers out for that as well. And I'll let you know how those go. But if you found this helpful, please like the video, comment down below, share this video with a friend, and subscribe to the channel, please, please, please. I post weekly, and most of my stuff nowadays has been related to writing or books and things like that. But I also post about my hobbies occasionally as well. So if you're interested in any of that, just stick around for the long haul. Okay. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, thanks. Bye.